Of course.
He said one.
Good evening, free enterprise fanatics. My name is Scratchdragon. I am joined by PK here, and welcome to a special event race where we are doing pushbtojump. This should be fun. This is going to be for the Questing for Glory side event that we're going to have here. And we're going to submit this. And as you see, we have some great racers lined up for this. We have Antidale. So, thoughts, PK? Introduce yourself. Have fun.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see this. I missed the original race when these pushbtojump flags came out, so I've been catching up a little bit. This has been, for anyone unfamiliar, this came out right at the onset of April Fools. This was dropped on us. And so we are, basically what pushbtojump allows is to skip a lot of different boss fights, a lot of different tiles that you can jump over. And so this basically means there's a lot of access to a lot of places that you would not be able to get to, and a lot of boss fights you can just skip and take a look at what the reward is.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It actually makes for some very creative. I say creative, but it's more like very interesting routing that you can do here, especially if you end up against in certain areas kind of walled in against bosses that you may or may not be very polite is the word for it, I guess. So it's going to be a good race. Some of the other flags that we have running here is that Edward can equip the spoon, no adamant armor, life glitch is still in there. We do have a couple of quests we need to do, so finish the quest, get the crystal, fight Zeromus, end the game. Yeah, you know, the typical stuff.
Very, very, very straightforward things. They are going to have to complete the Giant of Babel as well. But yeah, as you said, this is very unique compared to a lot of the races, even the 4-person, the community races, because anybody can really choose to go to a lot of different places off the beginning. It's not going to be necessarily the same runners all following a more stringent path until things open up. So many things are open right from the start here, and it will be very interesting to see what everyone does.
Yeah, so it's Giant. They need to complete Giant, and they need to forge the crystal, which is really, really interesting because I've done the forge the crystal regular races before, and not being able to skip bosses is kind of makes it a little bit harder. But this time around, it's going to be fun. But it looks like our race is starting here in a minute here. What do you think of the Sid start here?
Sid is, as far as starting characters go, a pretty nice person to have. He has a good amount of HP. If you find a decent weapon for him, even with that starting wooden mallet, can put out a decent amount of damage. Maybe, not who you're looking for towards the end game, but as far as just getting rolling and being able to take down those early fights relatively easily, I think he's not a bad person to see. And it looks like we're off, and our Sid is going to be paired with Iridia, so maybe the strongest early game character paired with maybe the least valuable.
I don't know about least valuable. If you get a couple of good summons for her, an early Sylph, maybe an Ashura, maybe pick up a Bahamut off a key item check or a treasure chest, she could be quite useful.
Until she does get a few extra levels. But yeah, that self-summon early is very big if you can locate it. This is the Standard as far as these shops go, so it very well could show up in an overworld. And we are immediately seeing some of these different jumping strategies.
Gets me every time. So jumping over this, jumping over that. This is this is something fun. So looks like we're gonna get a quick check here of our good old bedward, and we got a hook there. Keddril is searching up Baron for some treasure chests. Don't blame the quick checks here. Optimizing this is actually, when you think about it, incredibly difficult. If you just like, you actually have to think outside the box of like where you actually would walk, opposed to where you can and can't go. I mean, look at Keddril go. Just a billion treasure chest checks at the beginning of the game. I wish we could do it this way normally.
It's an interesting change. Baron Castle usually locked by the Baron key, and having to go through those fights, you can just hop over those guards at the door, and then you can actually loot places that you typically would not see anybody take time to later on in the game. The hook is a funny thing to see because as we saw Poidrac do there, you don't need the hook to get into Cave Evelyn. You can just hop your way right around and into the entrance.
Yep, Antidale making an interesting play here, running up the Tower of Zot here. Well, did I mention walls are kind of optional? Physics be damned.
Yep, this is a free, at least you can get both characters here. Potentially taking on either of the fights. That's a Fusoya at the second spot at Earth Crystal, so that's quite a find there.
Yep.
As well as a Dark Knight Cecil. So this is quickly turning into a very nice party for Antidale. You can't actually complete and get the key item from the Earth Crystal at this point, but that's two characters and some more wall jumping.
Early.
It's not going to be the most overpowered until they do actually fight some bosses. But knowing that you have Fusoya available here is a very big get as far as making decisions going forward.
Yep. So rows are down in the Cave Evelyn down there for Poidrac. So lots of divergence happening right now. So you have a hook, you have a Sand Ruby. Where do you go from this point?
This is, I mean, everywhere is almost available. You can get underground basically entirely free. And with these standard flags, that means you could have sirens and coffins in hand. Basically from the get-go. Antidale, as we'll see, is headed down into the Magnus Cave, but I would keep your harps at bay, chat, because I do not think he either A, has the heart or plans on going through that Edward cutscene. This is another one that you can just pop on over, see what the key item is, and either exit right out or just jump your way back out of Cave Magnus here.
Yep, and what did Poidrac do to the game? That was weird. What just happened?
Some of these doors are warp doors.
Oh boy.
Which basically means that if you come in the wrong way, you may not even be able to gain access. But Poidrac also showing off that you can skip that a pitfall thing, although unfortunately you can't collect any of the materials that are in there.
Yep. Looks like we got an Odin and a Moon Boss. So Moon Boss being what would have been the boss that that Poidrac would have had to fight. But well, I mean, so far so good.
Yeah. Jumping up to the top of the tower as opposed to following the regular route. I'm not sure if it's Poidrac's plan to just peek this boss. Because given the levels on this party, there's even you don't really want to fight those trap chests either.
Yeah, I think this is probably more of a walkout at this. In here, because I think if you exit, you don't get an airship.
That is an interesting question. I have not experimented with it enough, but yeah, you might just walk out and just be down there on the floor without anything to fly you around.
Meanwhile, we got Antidale running up ordeals and excuse me. We have
it looks like
Antidale
Andy
running up ordeals.
probably wants to maybe even fight these 3 bosses to try to power up the Foo. This is also another spot, as you'll see, where you can just jump right past those tiles. You only have to take this one fight to get your Cecil to Paladin. And the only fight we're seeing right now is Gambit fighting Evil Wall and what looks like the path to Ordeals. Or maybe that's up on Mount Hobbs.
Oh, this is Mount Hobbs. There's the color scheme is kind of tripping me out. I'm not sure if that's a Porum or a Palum. I think it's that's a Porum. Or no, that's a Palum. White mage. There we go.
You had it right the first time. I think that's Porum is the white mage, and she just cast Cure 1. So I'm assuming that's the white magic twin.
Yep. Funny names always trip me out to which one's which. Like that is the white mage twin. Gambit opting to pick up the white mage, which is interesting. I doesn't quite know that there's a Rosa down there. Meanwhile, Antidale found a plague and goodbye plague.
Yeah, that's in the final spot of Ordeals. So
yep.
maybe a tough fight with a low level team, but not somewhere where they only have about 900 hit points to their name.
Yep. So easy squeezy. Go ahead and get out of here. Got your spells for Tella wherever he may be, and well, there goes Cecil. So if you can find yourself maybe a Crystal Sword or an Excalibur, that would be a big pickup there. But as you see there, Antidale has to really think about.
Poidrac underground.
Yep. So see Poidrac heading underground there, heading towards the Fey March. Meanwhile, Gambit is running down and finding the Magus sisters at Antline. There's his name. What are names tonight? But
what are names?
A whole lot. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening simultaneously. It's actually super interesting to see what people are doing left and right. Meanwhile, 10 minutes in, underground access, 2 key items, Fusoya, bosses left and right. The action is non-stop right now. So,
yep, and as we said at the start, this is not your typical everybody has to pretty much go to the same places type of race. This is everybody's gonna be wherever they want to be, and they got to find the Darkness Crystal, and they got to find the Legend Sword and the Adamant, and that's about it. I think maybe as we narrow down and see some more key item checks, the Tower Key was down there in the Fey March. So that might be an early check worth making with a low-level party, but everybody's everywhere.
Yep. Keddril finding the good old trap chest in the Fey March, deciding to nope out of that real quick. But that leaves all those other chests open to be taken. And we were notified there was an Excalibur on Ordeals, so that's actually a really nice pickup for when you go get your Dark Knight Cecil.
Yeah, here you go. Here's your Paladin, and here's the Sword and the Stone. Looks like Gambit only got a Moon Veil out of the Antlion Cave. So maybe not exactly what you're hoping for there.
Imagine skipping Antlion and finding out there was only a Moon Veil there, and how happy you would be. But standard plays are sometimes hard to break here. So,
as someone who skipped Antlion in a race and had to be the Darkness Crystal, I'm really hoping that bought me some karma for the next time.
No, there's no buying karma for free enterprise. You should know this. Meanwhile, Gambit's gonna head over to the music cave with no music. Makes me very sad. But
saw Antidale go there. I didn't see the key item, but I did see him run it back out.
According to the tracker, it must not have been anything. It was a heroin robe.
Oh, okay.
It was a heroin robe. So, Poidrac running down to go talk to Yang. No pan though, so gonna have to run it all the way back up.
Yeah. That's a check. Again, you know, you're running around. You can skip a lot of bosses. You're looking for everything that you can either skip a boss and check, or those free through.
Yep. Meanwhile, Antidale checking the job dwarf there. I couldn't quite catch it, but it was a technician of some sort. So that run is validated. That's pretty nice. We're also heading into Dwarf Castle. Still running down into the Fey March. Let's see what do we have in Dwarf Castle? Elixirs and Starveils and Unihorns. Those are pretty good. A little bit outside our price range right now, but pretty good. So
one thing about this flag set is it sticks with the bracket 25% sell price of all the items. So it's going to be hard to accumulate a lot of money, but at the same time, it's the S standard flag, so they're really hoping to find some sirens and then maybe some coffins to just, you know, immediately boost your party.
Yep. Boosting would be great. It's just a matter of finding the characters that you would want. We still have that radio holding out. So really what you could do if you found like an Ashura would be to slingshot Uridia and get her up to nuke and have an Ashura, so you would have an off healer there as well. That's actually a legitimate strategy. A couple of my races, actually, now that I think about it, I used Ashura instead when I had no white mage. But
offer a lot of healing. Just sometimes sometimes you swing and you miss. Antidale we saw picked up a curse ring, and Antidale still the only one with that Fusoya, and with the required giant, you definitely do have the potential to slingshot that Rydia.
Yep, just got to find ourselves a darkness crystal and head over to the giant, and at that point you wouldn't even need the sirens. You could just go ahead and do the D machine grind, or I mean, if you want to go for something slower, alternate strats, you can always go for a Mac Giant grind. Got to find that darkness crystal first.
So they're showing the free music check. That's Dark Elf and the CPU down in the Feymarch King and Queen spot, so no free fights there. After 15-16 minutes of running around and probably 7 or 8 key item checks, this is the point where you're going to have to start checking some things that are not entirely free.
Yep. Really what you would probably be looking for right now, if you wanted just a treasure trove of free item checks, maybe if you find a darkness crystal here, do you just dive moon on those 3 free checks at the bottom? Or not 3, 2 free checks.
2 free checks are nice. I don't think I've seen anyone find a siren yet, so that moon shop could also be important. Or hourglasses, I don't think. So they're really in a position where you're gonna have to try to get XP somewhere, and I'm not entirely sure where it's gonna be.
Antidale being in the best position right now with that Fu, having a couple of options for grinding, especially seeing that it's mandatory to do giant here. He's still also looking for that adamant and legend sword, so Interesting. But Gambit's actually heading up to the Tower of Zot now.
Gambit going through, Antidale's in a great spot. The most comedic thing for me about these flag sets is Fu gains levels and spells by defeating bosses. And so having this Fu on your team, you know, is kind of the question of, you know, do I want to spend time leveling up the Fu, or, you know, I can also just go straight past all of these bosses.
Yep. Well, doing bosses is nice and dandy and all, but at this point, really, when you have all this free access, you could just be jumping around looking for key items and then finding, you could take those easy free bosses like Mist Cave and Waterfall and Hobbs, and I guess if you have to do it because now it takes so long because of press B to jump, you could do Antlion as well. So
Antlion, you do have to fight the bosses there. That's why I was interested to see, you know, if you get Sirens and Coffins, then you can do Baron in, you know, you can do all the low level bosses, but right now, it's a question of, you know, is it worth the time to go through those fights? If I have a Cecil with an Xcal and I have a Fu, but I just I can't think of where I would want to fight somebody here. I would maybe go and check that tower key before doing just about anything else, because that gives some XP and is required.
Yep. Big ticket for XP right now would probably be something like Fabul with this low level party, but with Fu around, I mean, depending on what spells we get, we can go ahead and do some interesting things. Meanwhile, Gambit finding our good old friend Leg. So,
I mean, you have everybody you need for an endgame party here. I saw Antidale got a curse ring as well, so having Xcal Cecil, Kane, Sid, you got to go up to the Giants, so maybe you slingshot Rosa, but at this point, this is the least amount of key items considering how many checks we've seen so far.
Yep. Meanwhile, Keddril is going to go ahead and do Fabul for us. See who we have here. Hey, look, it's Knazo.
This will make for an interesting check. I don't think Knazo is going to be too difficult there. As we see, Gambit tries to take on the Leg and has to nope out of that fight.
Yep, just going to go ahead and pick back up Cecil and Fusoya here. Casting the elusive Chocobo summon. I love it. Okay, Nazo's down. Let's see what we get from the Fabul here. Antidale actually picking up the hovercraft as well.
Maybe just looking to drop that off for eventual tail turn-ins.
Maybe.
Looks like he's also going to this Antlion cave.
Yeah, it might have been just muscle. Muscle memory to go up there and get the hovercraft.
It's one of the few places you can't actually make that jump to. Is the cave where you turn into tails.
Yep. Let's see what Sheila's got. Sheila's got not the goods because we don't need the twin harp. Maybe we'll get treated to some music here, but no, very doubtful. So we're quickly running out of spots, actually. So 4 key items, lots of checks down. What do we got? We got Baron open. We have actually we have what, 3 spots in Baron we could do.
So we haven't seen the inn, we haven't seen the Baron throne, we haven't seen the Odin spot.
Yep. So Odin you probably want to avoid, but if you have that Fuso, yeah, maybe you can get away with doing the inn into the Baron throne. What else do we have? We have Tower still open to us.
We have Tower. That Tower key, given the levels that we have, would be very appealing to me once I've checked everything that's free, because that boss only has about 900 hit points.
Yeah, tower key would be nice, but I don't know if these racers have it stuck in their mind that they want to just do it in one shot. I can imagine that that's how they would actually want it. And then in the back of your mind, you have those pesky Feymarch bosses that are floating around still.
Feymarch and Dwarf Castle are probably a little too aggressive for the amount of experience that these players have.
Yep, especially seeing it was CPU that was down there. That's not a nothing boss. It's not the hardest boss, but it's not the easiest boss. This party makeup that we have right now. Optimum in the Baron Inn right now. Gonna catch a fire tooth to the face real quick.
Yeah, and I would say Antidale and Gambit, with the addition of this Fu and Cecil, certainly, once we get down to the nitty-gritty of trying to find these key items and having to take on the bosses, are going to be in a slightly better position.
Yep. Up there. Yep. So really, we're reaching a point of convergence here. Everyone is kind of checking all the same places, just in a different order right now. So
we're really getting into the point where you've gone through everything free on the overworld and underground, and now you gotta start to come up with an actual plan of clearing out the rest of these bosses. Keddril there with that Sylph summon you mentioned and the Asura summon, so that really is going to do some work as far as his team is concerned early. But the lack of the Fu and the lack of the Cecil is gonna, the longer you go without those two characters, considering you get that X-Cal as well, is gonna potentially build up a lead for either Antidale or Gambit here.
Yep, and depending on how they play it, you could, if you end up getting that Cecil last, have a wonderful setup for a slingshotting at the end, considering that you still have to do giant if you get enough bosses done. So there are a lot of things that you could really route out just efficiently. So under the assumption that you don't get Cecil early, he starts off at level 1. You still have to go to the giant. If that's one of the last places that you have to check and you end up getting the Cecil there, you could always slingshot Cecil to level, for lack of a better explanation, 1 billion off D machine grind. Scary to do it that way.
Certainly true. We haven't seen it Tella show up. Fu doesn't have quite the spell list. There is our good friend Derek Mist over there having drinks in the inn. Unfortunately, with no free key item not enabled in this seed, not much of a value for actually finding our hide and seek champ here.
Yep, but the pass is pretty nice. So unfortunately, we still need the darkness crystal, which actually in this case may not be the worst thing in the world, because if you end up just things to forge the crystal, not the worst thing in the world.
Absolutely not the worst thing. I mean, there are plenty more. As we mentioned, Baron Castle Throne is probably gonna be one of the next checks we see from our runners here. And in short time, they are gonna have to, start picking ways and start taking on some of the more competitive locations. As we see, there's our Wyvern in the Mist Cave.
that hurt way much more than it had any business in the big spot.
Yeah, Gambit looking for a free boss to try to boost up this. Fusoya runs into Wyvern saying, "Not today."
It's a good thing we started with those Starvilles, huh? Rest of the team doesn't matter, but later.
Yeah, typically, if you don't have an early foo here, that's a place where you see Wyvern. And it looks like Poidrac is actually giving us music. I'm gonna silence myself and see if I can catch this.
Poidrac doing it for the people, playing the air scheme. Very nice, very nice. Not as nice as finding a key item there instead of a heroine, but I mean, you take what you can.
Beggars don't get to be choosers in these seeds, but big thumbs up for Poidrac for taking advantage of that harp, and also apparently that's a warp door.
What? What just happened? Wait a second. Wait. Oh, I see. Because he played the music, it sealed it, so it did the cutscene to go back to Edward. But because it went back to Edward, yeah, roll back. Doors don't work the way that they're supposed to work. You always find something new with one of these flag sets. It's actually super interesting. Wait a second.
There's some strange ways to break this game. The more you use it in the ways that it wasn't intended to be used.
Yeah, but meanwhile, it looks like Antidale found a gauntlet. I believe this is at the Baron spot. Yeah, that's at the Baron throne right there. So, some time lost there, but we'll see what we have behind the Baron throne along with a character. So, we will see. We'll get back to Antidale in like 10 minutes. So, meanwhile, more leg.
Yeah, we got another shot at leg here, and this is not a fight that you. But I think it's their Keddril is going after this for the experience.
Yep.
I believe either Poidrac or Gambit attempted to take this fight, but
yep,
not an easy fight. Not for this party. You can skip a lot of things, but this is what happens when you start actually having to face the music and start taking on bosses.
Yep. Meanwhile, Antidale fighting an Edward up top, which actually raises the question. Well, no, I guess.
So far as that, it limits the ability for Edward to basically break free that Zeroma's fight, but the spoon flag is on, so there is still some potential value for Eddie.
Yep. Not for Antidale though, giving up the Edward there. But do you go out of your way to search for the spoon? It is who needs the spoon when you get a crystal sword out of the pot apparently.
Yeah, that's gonna put that Cecil pretty much online. That's gonna be all you need moving forward to get through this seed. You just need a few additional levels.
Antidale running up to Zod again. Gambit's running down, just finishing up the Mount Ordeals there. Keddril finishing. I didn't quite catch what that was.
I believe it was either Baron in or also completing the Baron throne. But it looks like, Auntie is going to. You don't need to have the Earth Crystal but you do have to have the levels to beat this second boss. So we did see him go up here. He still doesn't have the Earth Crystal, but again, you can skip through all of these checks.
Yep. Doesn't look like Keddril picked up anything there. So Ruby is a bust. So really, we're cutting it down to the nitty gritty of bosses fight.
Yeah, here we go. You have to start taking on real fights. Oh, Keddril finished up. That was the Earth Crystal check from Keddril. Now headed into Dwarf Castle, where this is nice to see. This is some free experience at least.
Yep. King Queen Evelyn, nice little script. I don't think we're going to be fighting there, but we have a pair of legs going on with Antidale and Poidrac, so with their food, this shouldn't be too hard.
You put your right leg in, you put your right leg out.
But it's my left leg. It's two left legs. So what am I supposed to do? You can't really hokey pokey with two left legs.
It's true. You can still shake it all about though.
We'll get back to that. That's a conversation for another day.
As we saw, also Antidale using a kamikaze to finish off Rubicon to avoid the crumble animation. That's some big brain plays right there.
Yep. No death animation means you're saving a little bit of time here, and with the way that this is, you probably want to save as much time as you can. You're gonna have to be fighting a lot of these bosses. Keddril finishing up.
Yeah, that was. In any of the shops means that it has to be up on the moon or in Coles, but I know that these runners were definitely hoping to get some sirens when they got underground.
Yep. So okay, so let's go over what we haven't checked so far. So we still have the Odin spotlight. We have
left. Yep, we actually.
Yep. So we have Odin spot. We have dwarf that Keddril is finishing up now. We have the tower spots, and then we have the Fey March spots. So really, logical progression would be going back and doing the tower spots. No.
Tower spots, or you might want. Just for the bonus experience before trying to take on that tower boss, because that is Odin, and unless you have lit 3 and some decent levels, that Odin up at the top of tower is not going to be a joke, at least.
Times like this, you kind of wish you had that Eddie that could hide and abuse the scripting for him, because
I did not see what we got out of this location from Keddril. But we will get. Let's see if maybe Alice or Tracker saw it. It looks like the pink tail is lit up, so Dwarf Castle giving the pink tail is an interesting get. Antidale going to be the first to give us this new bit of information here.
Yep. Yeah. Going after. Good old lit 3. So for those who have never played Final Fantasy IV before, Odin has a metal sword. He raises said metal sword. Lightning strikes said metal sword. Odin goes down. I think I got that right?
Odin is the key in the kite when it comes to dropping Odin. If you have a Thunderclaw, if you have Lit 3, or depending on the position of Odin, Lit 2 or Lit 1, not going to be too much of an issue, but when he decides he's gotten enough thunder, when he's absorbed enough lightning, he does this, and sometimes it hits real hard, sometimes it doesn't, but he's one of the more unique bosses in this free enterprise string, because he's all over the place.
Yep, I believe that it's based off his magic stat, if I remember correctly. So Dr. Luge's spot has basically 0 magic, so picking up that Earth Crystal, not really what we were looking for.
He will get his tower key check on the walk out, and given how sparse the key items have been, if I'm Antidale, I'm at least happy that there was a key item in this location. Up to 10, that is going to be double experience, and experience has been not an easy thing to come by this far.
Yep, so just trying to navigate out here. So top of tower, a bus. So we have Odin's spot, and we have Feymarch left. Both places you don't want to see, because one of those is leading up to the Darkness Crystal, which means chances are either one of the 2 pieces that we need to forge the crystal is up there as well.
If I'm Antidale, unless this check right here gives me the Darkness Crystal, I would go and do those Dwarf Castle bosses just for the extra XP and the levels on Fu.
Oh, it's a Luca key. Time to go check value down. Always sealed. Always sealed. So these rabbit holes are, well, this is interesting, to be honest.
Yeah, well, there's nothing like rabbit holes when you got 4 people hopping around across the map.
Right? Actually, it just dawned on me, and I don't know why I never put this together. But are we playing Mystic Quest?
The jump sound itself is directly from Mystic Quest. That was when Board dropped this. That was my original thought was, are we just trying to turn this into FF4 MQ?
For some of these characters, who do you think would be who? Who do you think would be who for the sprites for if this was Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise Mystic Quest?
I'm trying to remind myself. I know there was the one Karate Man who was very similar to Yang. I'm trying to think of who that final boss would be. Played Mystic Quest in quite some time, so I remember the appearance of the bosses.
Yep.
But there are quite a few.
Yeah. So I would imagine like we could have a Kane Pazuzu. We could have a Pan in the Luca cave. All right. So we got a couple free checks. Those bosses aren't looking as appealing now at the Feymarch. Hopefully this Pan pays off.
No warp on the Fu, so gonna have to hop on out of here. But this is the first hint of potential progression that we're getting here.
Yep,
on the top left with Antidale.
Actually, we only have 2 key items. Sheila had something that wasn't very important. I think it was the Twin Harp. Yeah, Sheila had the Twin Harp in the first check.
And the Tower Key was the item from the Feymarch, so this has been available for quite some time. And as Antidale just jumps off the side of the map and apparently transports himself further out of the sealed cave.
This is the greatest version of Free Enterprise. It's just stuff happening. We love stuff that just happens.
As long as in the next update we get an axe that you can chop down trees with, I'm very happy in the direction that we're heading.
axe to chop down trees, bombs to blow up walls. We could throw mega grenades. Imagine all the fun we could have.
This Panchak is gonna let us know. Basically, it's either this Panchak Sheila 2, or we're gonna have to get some levels and fight that Feymarch.
Yep, Feymarch and Odin spot is still open, and we don't know what boss is down there, which is fairly scary. That's a dragon whip. Hello, free Enterprise.
It's been very randomized. The Scala Kitty did roll this. So I am not surprised by how trolly this has been. No real free experience to be spoken of. No Darkness Crystal. And 2 bosses, Dark Elf and CPU in the Feymarch. While you can do them, they're not going to be quick.
Yep. Huh. Is this how it feels to be on the other side of it? No wonder everyone wants to be in chat. All right, so let's see what Sheila's got. Sheila's got the rat tail, so we did need to get the hovercraft. So let's see what the rat tail. All these fetch quests.
As Antidale checks his key item inventory, probably thinking to himself, "Why don't I have any actual key items right now? I've checked 3/4 of the darn world."
Listen, sometimes the game just folds it for you. You're not folding it. The game's folding it for you. I like it.
Yep. This rat's gonna be interesting. This is it.
Yep, this is it, or we have to figure out some way of getting some levels. Odin in the Feymarch pop. See. Oh, okay. All right. So, off to the moon. I could only imagine that's the moon. And based on the positioning of the players right now, Antidale is in a comfortable lead. Not too comfortable, but
Anti's definitely ahead. We still haven't found either the Adamant or the Legend Sword. So those Feymarch bosses are still looming. But this moon shop could very well have an aggressive amount of goods.
Okay, so here's the interesting part of what we're gonna. No, you can't jump over that. You actually have to cutscene for the lunar whale. Come on now. This is the interesting spot. So Clapper Grind dead. Moon open. You have a Cecil with good equipment. You have a Fusoya, and Antidale's Fusoya knows nuke and weak. Do you just get Giant out of the way now?
That's what it looked like his plan was here. If you saw, he moved, I think, the weak spell down. I would not be surprised if that was the decision he made, because there's only, I believe, and maybe chat or someone can correct me, but the only free moon fight that you can jump over is the D-Lunar spot. So you have to take the rest of those fights if you're gonna go down there.
Yep. Looking like gonna pick back up a Iridia here.
Well, this is a juicy play here.
Yep. Gonna pick up, and I'm guessing we're gonna set up for some slingshotting. But okay, so some theory crafting here. Do you run down Moon to get your 10th key item? Oh, nope.
What is Anti at? He's only got 6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
7.
9. 9. 9. The pass doesn't count.
Oh well.
Hook, Darkness, Earth, Twin Harp, Sand, Ruby, Tower, Luca, Pan, and Rat Tail. So when these guys actually catch up, I would imagine that they're going to have 10 key items for this. I mean, it's D-Machine grind. You're going to be here for a while. Actually, now that I think about it, how much MP restore does Anti have? I haven't been paying attention to how many items.
If he has Ether 2s, I don't think he would be going up here. If if you didn't have them, but he is also getting double XP on 2 of these black mages. And
yeah. Well, how much would I imagine it would be? Maybe like you would want to do 8 or 10 D machines here to get into a comfortable spot. I'm gonna go ahead and check who are up and over. Gonna check who the CPU boss is before actually doing the grind. Meanwhile, I think Gambit's actually running down to this Odin spot to see what
I think he took a wipe. It was Antlion down there, but it looked like he unfortunately hadn't healed up before, and his food didn't have full MP.
Yep, it is. It is an Antlion down there. So that may not actually be a bad play, because if let's see. So, if Legend or Adamant is behind the Odin spot, I can only imagine that the other racers will actually only do, not only do, but will actually clear the moon. Because coming back and doing the Antlion spot not the Antlion spot, excuse me, the Odin spot by itself is not the play. It's not a coherent play. Coming back and doing the Fey March boss is not really a coherent play either. So, if this is Legend or Adamant, Gambit could put himself in quite the lead once he finds the Darkness Crystal.
Yeah, that's certainly something to consider. Now that we know where the Darkness Crystal is, it's as far as this all goes, we are on a key item hunt, and this is this place and the 2 Fey March bosses are the 2 we haven't seen on the Underworld. But like you said, if I'm Antidale, after I get done with this grind, I'm going up to the moon, and unless I locate both of those key items up there, but you're full clearing the moon if you go up there after this.
Yeah, there's after clearing as much Earth as you have. I'm assuming that this is Earth. I always confuse if this is Earth or is this however they decided to name it. But
there are no key items up here, so I don't know what to call it, but it doesn't necessarily have to qualify in either of them. And there you go, you called it. Scratch, that is the Legend Sword.
Yep, so
Throne required or Odin spot required.
Yep, which is going to be interesting. So that leads to the possibility that Adamant is still down here behind the Fey March bosses. It's still a possibility. So Gambit is actually in a really good position finding that Legend Sword down there. Decided to tough out that Antlion, which is that boss in that spot is not fun.
No, not fun at all. And it looks like Gambit making the right play here, because the Luca key does come from the Tower key, which gives the Pan, which Sheila 2 gives the Rat Tail, which then leads to our Darkness Crystal. Mouthful right there.
I'm glad you said it, not me. But Antidale looking like they're gonna try and get this grind going. Hopefully, in a moment.
I think he's found the right fight. It took 3 or 4 runaways, but I would imagine that he's comfortable enough looking at that map. If he's taking down these beamers, that he thinks he's in the right spot.
Yep. So, couple things that this fight could be normally. We have a nice little explanation. We'll call it an explanation of how to get the D Machine fight. But you can get the Metal Horseman, you could get the Giant, or you can get D Machines. One of those 3. So we're gonna find out here what it is in a moment.
He's trying to get his turn order set up.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Gambit went ahead and took down the Karate Man. Keddril's going to turn in for that Darkness Crystal, and Poidrac is running down. in short order here get the pan. So everyone's So, it is a D machine, which is good. So what we're gonna do here is, if we we're just gonna gain a whole bunch of experience. You want to explain how the life glitch works that they're doing right here as they chuck them at him?
Sure. So the beautiful thing about this D machine is he will only cast this one attack, and it does percentage-based damage. So it doesn't matter if Rydia has 30 hit points, it's only going to do 20% of the amount of damage, the amount of hit points that they have, and then casting a second life on the D machine once it's dead gives you double the XP. It technically revives it, but it revives it with 0 health, so it counts as killing it twice. So this is the most preferred method of gaining a lot of experience fast, and this Palom and this Rydia are actually both going to get twice the experience that he eventually gets out of this fight for the sake of them being less than, or 5 levels or more below the median level count for the rest of the party. So a lot of XP is about to be had here.
Am I saying things right? Did Keddril actually have to go and pick up Fusoya? Yep. Probably threw away Fusoya by accident.
I didn't recall when Keddril threw away the Fusoya. Maybe picking him up and having it been early. Just, I'm not gonna fight any real bosses for a while. I'll just let you gain your levels off in the background, but you don't want to go up to the moon and not have that Fusoya on your team. We'll see if everybody else decides to go for this same giant grind strat. It looks like that's what Keddril's going to do. And in short order, we'll see the same potential decisions from Poidrac and Gambit here.
Just for a little notification for our viewers here. In the original game, experience was actually shared between all your party members. You had 5 party members. Experience was shared between all of them. Luckily for us, because Board is a gracious and wonderful programmer, everyone gets full XP. So it's as if there was only one person alive, which is pretty nice. Otherwise, grinding would. So, luckily, this grind won't take too long, hopefully.
Have you seen in the vanilla speedruns, they kill off all of the party members except for Rosa, typically because of that shared experience.
Yep. Rosa or Edge, depending on which strats you want to use to go ahead and kill Zeromus. Which I'm assuming we're going to get there sooner than later at this point. So we know where the Legend Sword is. We got to find the adamant. Chances are... Chances are, hopefully...
This is the D machine struggle right here. If you try to queue up that weak spell... if I'm anti, I throw that hourglass and I salvage this. Yeah.
Yep. Good. That's going to be a great salvage right there. All right.
No, the D machine only uses that fire attack that does percentage-based damage, unless you happen to punch it and not kill it with said punch. Then it decides, I'm going to slap you a lot harder than you've been slapping me.
Yep. Just a small thing about the D machine. Sometimes fun note, weak can miss, and it's really bad when it does.
Yeah, you typically try to queue up several commands after the weak so that you can potentially get 2 life glitches off. But anything that goes foul, if you don't get that week off, the Fusoya gets punched, then you're in a bad place. Fortunately, Antidale with that hourglass basically said, all right, I'll take my experience. Maybe it's not as much experience as I would have liked, but still 522,000 experience.
Yep, and 49 levels on that Rydia. I mean, I won't go. Let's see. 49 from it is a level 1 Rydia, so yep, she does learn Nuke, which is pretty good. Pretty good. Only Nuke. It's no Bahamut, but
the 3 Nuke casters, a Crystal Sword Cecil, and Rosa, who I'm assuming will have Cure 4 and maybe Life as well.
I didn't see how many levels Rosa get, but I would assume that she got to. And an hourglass 3 for your trouble.
Just throw that back. Put it in where where that one you lost went.
So, meanwhile, Keddril is. And now, we're running towards this giant now. So we're running towards a giant. Everyone's about to run up to the moon. We're going to clear out the giant for at least 3 of these runners presently. But Gambit is still technically ahead with this legend sword.
This is very much a tortoise beats the hare type situation. In that the minute that Gambit gets the adamant, he will be in go mode, and depending on how early in the moon checks that's located, could make up the amount of time that you need, or maybe just a little too far behind. These things can even out real quick, at least between Gambit and Antidale.
Yep. Actually, now that I think about it, in my mind, we're meta thinking at this point. You know, there's only 3 spots left on the Earth for checks, right? Chances are, Feymarch, never worth it. But that Odin spot, do you check that Odin spot before you clear the moon?
I think we're about to find out what Antidale thinks, but Antidale also hasn't done the Dwarf Castle check, which, if Antidale does decide to full clear the Earth before going up to the moon, that's going to be some additional time that it looks like everyone else besides Gambit has already taken.
Yep. Keddril with 9 key items for the run right now. Poidrac has, 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. Doing math on stream is an awful idea. But,
maybe there were 10 total available? Excluding that legend sword?
I think it's 10 total. No, 2, 4, 6, 8. 10. Yeah, it would be 10 total available. No, the Earth Crystal is available too, so 11. Well, I forget where the Earth Crystal was. So, looks like no one's going to get the experience bump there.
Somebody, each one of these runners is slightly different routing, or maybe, you got that Earth Crystal from somewhere that you just thought it was faster to reset out of and reload. But no one getting the double XP. Gambit, the last runner to potentially skip doing this grind and go directly to the moon, although this is probably the logical choice.
Yep. Well, while we go through this wonderful, wonderful Dr. Luge fight and grind, let's throw some shout outs real quick out to our restream team. Keeping hold of the chaos there. Everyone was everywhere. So
Alicel has been killing it. These opening 15 minutes are not something that I would like to track. This is for people not funneled in any direction where you can pay, you can just follow and say, oh, they probably did that. We had one person underground 4 minutes into the race. We had 7, 8 different places that anybody could have headed off to, like right out the gate.
Yep, and everyone ended up in the same place.
And big shout out to Scala Kitty as well for holding this together. Twitch has not been the most cooperative over the course of this run.
Yep, and just a
fantastic sequence.
Yo, shout outs to Twitch, but yeah, this has been some real nice chaotic press B to jump race. Just to remind everyone, this is our April Fool flag set that we have here, where it is what it says. You press B to jump. So if you want to skip things, you're welcome to skip things. Skip those important tiles, like this one that Antidale just tried to jump over on the lunar throne, but was unable to do so. To find a ninja. Don't really think we want the ninja anymore.
A little late for ninjas here.
Yep.
Meanwhile, aggressive jumping over the crystals.
Listen, crystals were meant to be jumped over. Meanwhile, Gambit is actually doing Dwarf Castle before doing the grind fight here. So Gambit will have 10 key items, which is going to be a nice little boon there.
Yeah, if I'm Gambit here, I have the Legend Sword, so there's a decent logic behind this. Maybe you get the other key item that you need. Or, at least you have the knowledge going forward that it's not back down here.
Yep. I mean, you have a semi-powerful Fusoya right now, so you're not in the worst shot. I say shot as I watch Fusoya use a bow. So, Antidale giving us our first look at what is on the moon right now. Find some left and right Baigen right now.
That is a Baigen in the Wyvern spot. Who, I mean, with this team, there was no saving jumping up into this. I can't imagine it's going to hurt Antidale. But also that reflect going on to Cecil. Oh, it was after the Berserk had already gotten on. Okay, so that's not going to be too big of a deal.
Yep. So Antidale with plenty of power to go ahead and just burst through Baigen here. Well, a 350 heal on the Baigen. And not bad. Meanwhile, Keddril is fighting out the Dr. Luge right now with a reasonable party with Sid and Kane there. Good variation and good diversity of what you actually want your team to actually look like, because at this point you're keeping this team. You're gonna grind, you're gonna keep this team, and you're gonna fight Zeromus with this team. So we have one person that's all set up with nuke strats, another person that's set up for what seems to be berserker strats, another person that has a Yang, which I'm all about. And Yang, he's a special guy. So you want equipment? Yang don't need no equipment. He's just gonna start smacking people with all these levels that he's gonna gain here.
Oh, Yang doesn't need anything. Yang's fists are all you need.
Yep. Fighting like those the old English put up your dukes boxers.
Finding that pink tail will be 10 key items. Not terrible. Maybe just thinking at worst, I'll have enough key items to get that double XP. And this will be interesting. If we'll see where the Legend Sword is, unless it's down in the Fey March. The earlier in these checks, if it happens to be at the D-Lunar spot, that could save Gambit clearing any of these additional after doing the giant.
Yep. So Gambit is checking Tomra. What are we looking for here? Looking to validate our run? Gonna go check the job dwarf?
It's very nice.
Radar and sonar technician. That's what it was. Up, yep. Validating the run. All right, checking the item shop. What do we have in that item shop? Too much stuff is what we got in our item bag there.
I was thinking maybe hoping for hourglasses or sirens, but not a lot. We didn't see them from anyone else. I don't think there's much going on.
Yep. So, actually, Keddril's doing the heads-up play here, looking like gonna go ahead and complete out the Earth here. Go do the Fey March. We'll see if that pays off. But I would imagine that he would actually also do Odin before heading up to the moon, which could be a good boost there. Gambit still having to do his grind and clean out the tower, the giant of Babel. Lots of Babels around. And it looks like Poidrac is finishing up his giant now. So let's see what Antidale finds here. Finds the package.
So there was a spoon, a diamond armor, a package in these lower lunar subterranean fights. Nothing required. Really, we just are trying to figure out where the adamant armor is. Unfortunately, with Keddril down in the Fey March, we'll get a pretty good idea of where what is at this point.
Yep. So, worst case scenario, Moon is haunted. Worst case scenario, which would put Keddril well into the lead because Keddril will clean out the rest of the Earth before heading up there. And Keddril actually doesn't have the pass. Huh.
Demist, Beowulf, we did find Demist, although there was no benefit to finding Demist in this particular flag set. Because there is no free key item is not turned on. I think it's just to make it easier for everyone jumping around to not have to circle back and have to run into every fight and then jump over the fight, just to make sure they're not skipping our friend Derek here.
Yep, it would be a little bit of a nightmare to actually have to go find a specific boss to go when you're skipping so many bosses. So let's see. Looking pretty good at... Oh, well, there goes CPU. Good night, CPU. Oh.
Gambit, it looks like hasn't done the grind yet, but maybe taking a look at this Luge, just checking this fight.
I mean, it's not a bad play, because if you could check the fight, fade the fight if it's not anything... if it's something that's super easy that you could just get done. Antidale finding the Baron key, by the way. But if it's a fight that you could just get done, then you could do your grind somewhere else instead of doing the D lunar grind if you're not comfortable with it, because it is the D machine grind. The D machines can be kind of tricky, but Poidrac actually heading down and checking this Baron spot too. So really what we're looking for now is we're just looking for one more key item. If Antidale finds the key item between, let's see, what's left? The Pale Dim spot and Cave Bahamut.
Yep, Value Cave or Dark Elf or Pale Dim are the only spots that we haven't seen, and Dark Elf just went down.
Mm-hmm. So let's see if the adamant is behind the Dark Elf here.
Wow. So that is a haunted moon.
Oof. Haunted moon. So Keddril.
Scala special here.
Yep. Keddril is actually, because Keddril's going to finish up doing the Earth, is now comfortably in the lead. The lead has changed like 3 times.
Keddril's in the lead if he lands at Baron Castle here, which, all right, now Keddril's in the lead.
Yeah. See, Antidale was ahead because Antidale had the grind going, but it hasn't found the legend or the adamant. Turns out that the legend is behind the Odin spot, and the adamant is behind well, go figure, the Dark Elf spot. Moon not required. Moon is just one big old bait. But looks like Gambit's having some problems getting this D Machine fight going. So
it doesn't look like Keddril has the pass. I don't recall where the pass came from, but
pass was behind Derek Miss in Baron.
Oh, okay.
So
see, gives Poidrac an opportunity here to catch up.
Maybe Poidrac looking like he's gonna go ahead and do the Feymarch bosses too. So right now it's just Antidale leaping down the rabbit holes of all.
As Antidale decides, I'm not going into the ship. I'm just gonna hop on over. I think when they're on the moon, they should jump even higher for the lack of additional gravity.
I mean, sure looked like they were jumping higher to me. Look at those leaps. Looking pretty good right now. Gambit looks like he found his grind fight now. Keddril is gonna fight this antlion and find the good news here, but without the pass, it leaves a small opening, not a large opening that someone should catch up.
Well, it looks like Poidrac did have the legend sword. This has been very difficult to try to mentally inventory who has all gone where, and once again, Alcel's been doing a phenomenal job tracking. But if this is the case, Legend Sword going into this Dark Elf fight and having the pass is going to maybe get Poidrac into the Zeromus fight before Keddril.
Yep. So once again, the lead has changed. This is number 4, 5, 6, whatever number that we have, because we might as well just say push C for chaos is what this race has been. So, yep. And then with the healthy levels on Yang and Cecil, I imagine that Zeromus he is not long for this world.
Oh, Crystal Sword Cecil at 4,000 hit points is... you can just put the controller down at that point.
Yep, cast Berserk and go nuts. But I don't know. Depending on the items that's on this Yang is gonna not do no small amount of damage.
Yang is gonna be a monster as well. And trust me, I am a gigantic supporter of Yang, but Cecil with those levels is gonna hit for like the amount of damage that a nuke would do every ATV tick when he's berserked.
Yep, and looking at it now, 1 hour and 14 minutes in, we are in Omode. So, we're gonna just take a second here to throw a couple. So, shout outs to our restream team, holding it down with the sheer amount of chaos there with Alice. I said that correct, right? Alice?
I think it's Alicel, but
Alicel. Okay, just got to make sure I'm pronouncing it right here. With our tracker Alicel and Scala Kitty with the restream here, my good partner in crime right now. Alicel, okay, good, thank you. Glad to get that right. So.
Looks like Keddril might have the pass after all.
Oh, maybe. Someone's parked at his parking spot.
Oh, you hate to see it. So Poidrac getting his crystal as well. We got some last minute menuing, but these two are going to be right neck and neck getting into this Zeromus fight.
So The lead changed again. So, Antidale heading up back to the moon again.
Oh no! Oh, Poidrac falls up early. Lands outside the barrier.
Uh-oh.
Everything you can do at this point is incredibly crucial when it comes to how close these two are about to be getting into this Zeromus fight. Didn't park his other car in the wrong driveway.
Yep.
Poidrac with all the right choices here.
Yep. So.
Oh, we might see Quad Berserker.
It looks to be Quad Berserker. That Fusoya has no armor on and just a curse ring. But now for the all-important question that we always ask. You know what? Would you like to do the honors?
Considering that Zeromus is randomized in each one of these different races, the question we do like to ask is, whose butt are we going to kick tonight?
Yep. So we do something fun here where Zeromus has a his sprite is old news. We don't want to see that. So our good friend Scala Kitty has created a number of sprites. I don't even know what the number is anymore. And I have rarely, if ever, seen a duplicate sprite. Except Waldo. I found Waldo like 5 times. So let's see who's behind Zeromus number 1. As it looks like Keddril and Poidrac are entering the fight basically side by side.
Keddril with a slight, maybe 20-25 second edge at the most.
Yep.
Antidale is sniffed out the right spot after deciding to be basically the only runner to even go up to the moon. Will be joining us on that Zeromus fight relatively soon, but here we go. Oh, everyone's childhood enemy.
Long live the king.
Be prepared. Be prepared for Skarmus.
Oh wow, that was a healthy nuke on Sid there, but at these levels and with this HP, Zeromus probably isn't very long for this world. So we're gonna see who can out damage the other one.
So we got Skarmus showing up here on Poidrac. Poidrac with the Yang and the Cecil, and it looks like zerking up the Rydia or the Rosa as well. So this is just a pure damage race at this point, with the slight edge in getting started to Keddril.
We have some people in the chat that have some trauma from playing the Lion King video. I don't quite remember it, but I don't think I want to. So we're going to continue talking about Skarmus and beating up Zeromus. So Zeromus has an interesting pattern. He has 60,000 life. However, at 40,000 life, if he takes direct damage, as in a non-reflected spell damage, he triggers a refill on his life. So in essence, he has 100k life. With the Berserk strats, they are just going to chew through that life. And the things that Zeromus likes to do is to shake. Yep. So Zeromus likes to Big Bang. Well, let's do it in order. He likes to shake. He likes to Big Bang. He'll shake again. Big Bang again. Then he'll cast Dark Hole? Black Hole? Black Hole. He'll cast Black Hole, Shake, Big Bang, and depending on where you are in the script, he will cast other spells. But at this point, I don't think he's going to cast more than 2 Big Bangs.
That damage coming out from that Crystal Sword, Cecil is gonna be pretty aggressive. Well, the last thing Zeromus likes to do is cast Meteor, and we just saw that on Keddril's screen, and that is it. Keddril has taken first place in this race, so GG to Keddril. Poidrac, we will see, cannot be too far behind.
Yep. Boom, shake, down goes Scaramus, just like the movie. So Keddril has finished with an official time of 1 hour, 21 minutes, and 14 seconds. Congrats to Keddril. So let's see where Poidrac finishes up here. And down goes Scaramus, number 2. So with a time of 1 hour, 21 minutes, and 30 seconds, Poidrac finishes here in second place. So GG's to both our racers. What a race. Pure chaos. I love it.
Yeah, you have to be a fan of how quickly or how close that was. 16 seconds between first and second. Antidale, after completing this dwarf castle fight, will only have the check on the Baron Throne left, so he will be making his way in here shortly.
Yep. So
on that grind, not going to be too far behind.
We're going to go ahead and see if Keddril and Gambit want to come in for interviews here. See if we could get their thoughts on the seed. Looks like Keddril is going to join us, but our good friend Poidrac is going to... After a seed like that, I don't blame wanting to compose themselves at first. And this was a splendid race. Just pure chaos at the beginning, and then catch up.
Looks like we are joined here by Keddril. Congratulations, GG.
Thank you.
How did that seed feel? It was, you got underground. There really wasn't much in the item shops. All of these free checks that you could make didn't really lead to all that much. So what's going through your head there?
Well, I was actually a little bit worried about that because the first thing I was hunting for, since I was kind of hoping that we would get Tella to start with, which sounds a little weird, but I really like his exit in the pushbtojump because you can just head straight up to Cave Magnus and then it's only like a tiny bit of walking. So when I didn't get him, I was hunting around for exits basically so that I could do these free treks more confidently, and every single one I went to was just pure garbage, except for I think Ordeals had an Excal. So that one ended up working out. And then by the time I found the Darkness Crystal, I was like, oh man, this is pretty early. Could have gotten to it pretty early, so thought I was a little bit behind there, so I went and switched out for Fu, which luckily he had weak, and then just did endgame levels. And then was just praying that the moon was haunted, so I was getting all these one-offs done on the underground and then in Baron, and then it just worked out, and I was like, woohoo! Solved that one.
I just want to put out there that I was saying, because our good friend Gambit actually did the Odin spot before finding the Darkness Crystal. That on the off chance that Feymarch has the adamant, the moon is haunted. And it just happens to be that the moon was actually haunted in this one specific case.
Yeah. That's what I was hoping for. Like, I was really thinking, like, you should just go up and check the Vanilla D Lunar spot. It's 2 free checks. But
you and Poidrac both hadn't gotten either the Legend or the Adamant before you did the Giant. Antidale got through the Giant before you did. Also didn't have Legend or Adamant, but then decided that he was going to make that play going to the moon. But you both, I mean, there's something strongly against the moon for basically 2/3 of the people we've seen so far. Gambit's done it too. No one else has even gone to the moon.
Yeah, that was something that we were discussing as well. Was there's only 2 technically free checks on the moon. So do you actually take that long walk down to do those checks, or do you finish cleaning up the Earth? And it ended up cleaning up the Earth paid off this time.
For sure. And when I saw that legend sword in the Odin spot, I think my heart dropped down into my stomach, and I was like, "Oh man."
The good bullet I just dodged.
Yeah. Because once I had finished getting the adamant in Fey March, that's where I was heading. I was like, okay, go to the moon. Well, why don't you just check the Odin spot and see what... I'm like at such high levels. Like I definitely did way more D machines than I needed to. But...
Yeah, no one had 10 key items for the D machines, actually. Well, pretty weird considering that you cleared up so much of the Earth. So, tell us what your original routing was for this. Like, what was your original thoughts of how to start off the seed?
My practice seeds have been head over to Edward to get the free item. And then if he doesn't give me something good, or I don't have a source of exit, then I'll go down and go through Ebling Cave. Then go to Fey March to check the free there. Just peeking on the bosses, pick up a few more items, and then head up to Sylph House, and then go up to Fabul, just to try and clump together as many things, and hopefully run into the pan at that point. Looting wise, I thought it best to be jumping into Baron, just because it's gated chests, so the loot's a little bit better. And then after that, sort of just once I get back to the overworld, head down to Ordeals, hopefully run into a Cecil on the way, and then go from there, really. See where the key items take me at that point afterwards.
Sounds good. You have any questions, PK?
Is there any particular jump that you found that you thought was maybe the most ludicrous? Because just watching this, I haven't played these flags much, but I saw a lot of things that I had no idea were even possible at this point.
Probably my favorite is when you get down into the Fey March and you can just jump onto the empty air there.
Yeah, I just saw Gambit was doing that.
And run up to check the chests, and then I like the other one, running up Lower Babel, just in the third room, where you can just hitch it to the left a bit and jump onto the weird grid they have on top of the wall, and then jump back over.
Yeah, those were pretty nice. If you actually go back and watch, we had something real special happen where we got music. It was actually Final Fantasy VII Aerith's theme.
Oh, nice.
But the door was locked to leave. Jumped over the trigger to the door lock. Ended up in Edward's room in Troya. Jumped into Edward to end up back in the cave.
And walked out afterwards. It was glorious.
That's crazy.
Yep,
I'll have to take a peek at that.
It's a sight to behold. But meanwhile, we have Antidale entering the Zoromis fight, so let's get some energy out for him while Gambit is finishing up the Dark Elf fight now, so we should be set there. So any closing thoughts here?
No. Thank you guys for hosting, and yeah.
That's right. And for everyone out there, definitely shoot all our runners a follow. This is some interesting stuff here, and make sure you follow my partner in crime here, PK, and our restreamer Scala, and our tracker Alice Cell. I think I said it right like 5 seconds ago, and I probably butchered it again. Everyone.
Yeah. This has been a great show. Scratch, thank you also for being here. Alicel in this madness, just a phenomenal job. And Scala versus Scala versus Twitch is probably an ongoing fight. I don't know who won tonight, but don't think anybody won that fight tonight.
Twitch definitely threw some heavy punches tonight. So thanks to everyone that's decided to hang out with us and bear with some of the problems we may or may. It's fun as we take down Scaramus again. Looking like we're gonna go with some reflex strats, which is an alternate way of doing it. So,
as we discussed, Scaramus does refill his hit point total somewhere between, I believe, between 40, 45,000 and 60,000. But if you only reflect spells, then there is never actually a refill. So this is a potentially faster way to get through this fight than actually zerking up your teammates.
Yep. And with the damage values and with the wisdom values on Rydia, on Palom here, this is gonna go fairly quickly.
Yeah, these levels combined with the equipment and everything else. I mean, this is 4 people on your team who can cast either Nuke or White. So that's a good. In every go around, you're doing 20, 30 plus thousand damage. So Scaramus will fall again. Scaramus, as we've all seen, might deserve it, but
yep. So
not going to be too long for this world, and I believe Antidale, with one of these upcoming attacks, will be through Scaramus.
Yep, looks like there's fun little thing. We have the flash, boom, crack as a toggleable thing, but down goes Scaramus again, with Antidale finishing up the race at 132.36. GG's to Antidale. We're going to go ahead and see if we can get Antidale.
I think we are already joined by Antidale.
Ooh,
early into the chat, early onto the moon, first through the giant. How do you feel about having run that?
It's always fun to full clear a seed in under, just about an hour and a half. Just over it.
You're the only one who decided that the moon wasn't haunted, and that might be haunting you for a little while.
I mean, it's such a mistake on this flag set constantly. I've run, 10 of these or more. I think I've seen 2 pieces of it on the moon. It's just such a constant, don't go to the moon, never go to the moon, and yet sometimes it's just so tempting.
Right. By the numbers, there was a good chance that at least one piece was going. I would say that I would have made that same play. So,
and if we actually needed a Baron key or something, it might have been useful, but clearly not necessary.
Yeah, you have a lot of dud items. So, first question: how do you like that early foo?
I actually really don't like an early foo in this flag set. I'd rather not see him. I'd actually rather have Tella.
So we had heard from Keddril, you get exit, right? And you get the full coterie of spells.
Yeah, it's you don't have to fight a number of bosses to get weak. You can just go to ordeals and get it real fast. It was really nice that Fu got it pretty early this time, though. Like, that made up for Fu showing up so early.
Yes, sir. So, just as a note, our friend Gambit is giving us some extra music here. Doing it for the fans. So
very good, Gambit. GG's.
Yes.
What was that glitch when you were leaving Luca, where you came out of a door and then just turned around, jumped over the door? And was this you and you managed to skip a floor by doing that?
Yeah, when you come out of that one where you kind of walk straight down into orange, and normally you warp out of it. If you just dump down and jump out of bounds there, that's an out of bounds skip to warp a floor back. So you save having to go into a menu and warping. So it's like a quarter of a second faster, but it's a lot of fun.
You hear this board? Do you hear this board? They're breaking randomizer even more. I'm gonna need you to get on.
Well, I don't know if you guys noticed the Zot jumps when I went and got the characters right away. If you can jump left off of a floor in Zot, it also does the same thing. Both of those are only good for exiting. but you
Yeah.
absolutely skip warping.
Yeah, but the greatest warp we saw was the warp from there. It was really weird. It was the first time I had seen it. Was the warp from Cave Magnus? If you jump after doing the music, if you jump over, it took someone back to the
Yeah, you go
Edward
visit
room.
Eddie again.
Yeah, and then you jump back in and it takes.
Door, apparently.
Yeah, it's a warp door. It's so weird.
Yeah, it's really neat. I know. I've seen Inven do that one a lot on his stream.
Okay, so it is something that's been around. So, any final thoughts on the seed and this race in general?
It was fun. I'm a little bit sad that I didn't go with my gut of getting the Darkness Crystal, going to the moon, and checking for a spoon in that Lunar Dragon's chest in the Ribbon Room, because I love Eddie with a spoon if I can have it, and I could have and just didn't. But overall, it was a fun seed. I love slingshotting Rydia and Palom all the time too.
It was a great play. I mean, you got out. You were well in the lead, at least as the first one who got into the giant. But I guess, yes, apparently the moon's haunted because nobody else has even gone up there at this point. Like, everybody else did their giant. We're like, I'm gonna go do the throne and the Fey March, like just the plague.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely one of the things that, having played them a bunch, that is the correct play, is actually to go finish the Earth and then go back up to the moon, just for how seldom you see them there. But I figured with both of them not showing up by the time I decided to go, and I only had 4 spots left, it was just, it was one of those numbers games of maybe it'll happen this time. But
I thought it was the logical play. By the time you had gone up there, the only things we hadn't seen were the 2 Fey March bosses. So it was, those 2, or, all of the checks on the moon had to have been the adamant. But congratulations, GG. If the moon fades you next time as well.
Yeah, well, thank you both for commentating, and thank you, Alisel, for tracking, and Scala for doing the restreaming. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks for joining us here. So we're moving on, and Gambit, after giving us some nice music there, we're gonna go see Scaramus one more time. I believe his party is geared towards just straight berserk strats here, so maybe we'll get some nice hybrid strats, because I believe he still has Fu and one of the kids in the party.
With the required giant, which with as much as everybody had to do here, this isn't going to be some of these bracket flag Zeromus fights that we see every once in a while. This is tear through Zeromus as quickly as possible mode.
Yep. We have low-level strats, we have middle-level strats, and then we have Zeromus must die strats. These are the Zeromus must die strats. So let's take a look at what we have here. Pair of white mages, Cecil and Kane. I was about to call him Bob because funny story. Every time he showed up in Fabul, and they would go, Kane, is that you? And then it just said Dragoon there. I always said it's the legendary Dragoon Bob, and a Fu.
Oh well, at least I actually haven't watched the live-action Lion King.
Neither have I. I've heard good things about it.
Get to see. We get to get childhood revenge on Scar.
Yep. So everyone can take solace in the fact that Scar is, well, he's not dead to hyenas. He's just gonna die to white silk webs and a sword. Yep, we're gonna get some white reflex strats here. Oh. Wow.
Two whites and nukes and no Zerg. Cecil with 5,000 hit points.
Yep, I'm gonna get some just meager swings in here. 5K hit, not nothing too impressive. 4,500 here. Once again, has 65k health, 65, 61, between 60 and 65. And
even 64 is the max they could put on a character, and the reason that they did the whole refill was if they tried to put any more health on a character, it broke the game.
Right, because of the memory limitations that are on there. So Zeromus will refill between after 40k damage has been done to him, and he takes direct damage, which means he takes a physical attack, a magic attack, I don't know, a dart, anything of that nature. But if you cast a spell off a wall, it doesn't count. So if you're good with counting, and you can cast some nice little reflex off the wall with white and nuke, or Ice 3 for that matter. I mean, take your pick to whichever one you want to use with cast time. Zeromus will go down in 60k health. So we're just gonna go ahead and have a little fun here with that. Meanwhile, while Gambit's gonna go ahead and finish up, I just want to remind you all that this is Press B to Jump. This was a great race brought to us by Antidale, Gambit, Keddril, and Poidrac. So, if anyone wants to know who won, Final Fantasy Free Enterprise won. Always Final Fantasy Free Enterprise will win.
Free Enterprise wins Mystic Quest in a distant second for what I would have to assume is the inspiration behind allowing this jumping to come into play.
Yep, and if anyone's interested...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. But I was just going to mention, if anyone is interested, all of this is free and wonderful to play. You just feel free to join us on Discord, jump on, try out a couple seeds yourself. The Discord is very welcoming to everyone. This is, and you can hashtag me, the best randomizer out there.
We have places in the community on the Discord. If you have any questions, the flags on the link that Scala just posted, the ff4fe.com. You can roll beginner flags, intermediate flags. If you've watched any of the tournament, if you've seen what's going on here, we will point you to exactly how you need to do it. But Gambit here has finished up, and I believe has just joined us. So GG, Gambit 17.
We have a Gambit, but no.
I see him lighting up, but I'm not hearing anything.
That's probably a quick out and in.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now. Welcome and GG, sir.
Thank you very much. I hope everybody enjoyed the Twin Heart music.
Yeah. We appreciate your victory lap around Crystal there.
Yeah, I saw the third place not done as I was getting ready to enter Zeromus. So I'm like, you know what? I've got a Twin Heart. Let's give chat what they want. Let's go check the music, and it was very nice today.
A true hero to the people, giving people the good old Aerith theme. Very fitting considering the recent game that just came out. So, first question, as always, what were your thoughts of this seed?
Pretty straightforward. That was one heck of a chain to get the Darkness Crystal. I will say that. Doing the cheeky half tower play to get the Luca key, to get the pan, to get to the Darkness Crystal was quite fun.
We have a Gambit, but no.
I see him lighting up, but I'm not hearing anything.
So, follow-up question with that play. What was your inspiration to not go to the moon?
Well, I've been doing a lot of these flag sets, and I have yet to come across one that Moon has not been haunted. So I said, you know what? I'm going to keep playing on that and just not go to the moon. And if it's up on the moon, someone else is going to win. I'll be fine. I'm going to full clear Earth first.
Only one person of the four runners. You were all in relatively similar position. No one had done Fey March. A few hadn't done the throne. But only Antidale was like, I'm going to go to the moon after I grind. Like, every other runner is just, I'm going right back down to Earth, and I'm going to clear that out.
Yeah, moon very haunted.
Yep, moon was very haunted this time around. how did you feel about the character selections that you had at the beginning of the game? Just like, to be honest, watching all four of you race, everyone was literally everywhere. So tell us a little bit about the routing that you had.
Well, I know a lot of people like doing with this flag set, they like going down into the hook route and the Evelyn first and getting that character. I tend to usually try to fade that as much as I can. I like going Earth Crystal as quickly as or not quickly, but pretty quickly. But I like having at least 3 characters before I go there. So when I do that check, it's going to fill out my party. I also have a tendency to want to complete Earth Tower Zot when I'm there because I don't like leaving that key item spot hanging. Today it was just a moon veil, if I remember right, so that would have mattered. But
one of those free spots that were activated by jumping, at least on this seed, offered very much in the way of anything. You guys had all probably cleared 9 or 10 locations with 3 key items for, you actually had to bite the bullet and start fighting bosses.
Yep. I just want to add that you guys made Alicel's life actually kind of chaotic because everyone was everywhere and trying to keep up with all the key item checks was great up until the end. So
yeah, that's one thing about the pushbtojumps is you tracking wise, it can be a free for all because everybody's got their own way they want to go and check spots in different times. I know one thing I did this season I usually do is I made that antlion check early because I usually completely forget antlion and it has burned me more than once.
Yep. So I don't have any other questions. Do you have any follow-up questions there, PK?
I think we covered a decent bit. Just certainly want to say you cleared that way faster than I ever could have. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around everything that you can do with this pushbtojump, but all 4 of you put on a real heck of a demonstration of how much this one additional feature has changed, the way that anybody would run this game.
And there's still new tech being learned almost daily of pushbtojump, different jumps you can get out. The Luca Cave jump that I made to go out of bounds to clear a room, that was recently discovered. The glitch in the hook route that I kind of showed off, that's not really a faster way to do it, but it is a funny glitch that's been found, and there's still more to discover, so I can't wait to see how much more we can break it.
Sounds good. So any final thoughts on the race and the seed?
I just want to thank everybody else who was racing. I want to thank Antidale, Keddril, and Poidrac for helping us put on a show. I want to thank you guys, Pkey, Scratch, Aliceal, and Scala for helping with the restream team and letting us put on this wonderful video. And everybody who came out to watch, thank you so much. I know this was not a normal day that we had a race scheduled, but surprise races are also always fun. So thank you so much for coming out and supporting us.
Sounds good to me.
Thanks again. Yeah, thanks, Gambit. Definitely big props to these runners. They put all of this together as far as the submission and the flags and everything else. But obviously, Scala has been amazing. Alcel, absolutely great work on the tracking. I think I would have just gone cross-eyed and passed out of my chair if I had to try to keep track of all of that. And Scratch, yeah, thank you for sitting alongside me up here in the booth.
Always a pleasure, friend. So I'm gonna go ahead and take us home here. Thanks to everyone for coming out and watching the race tonight. This will be our submission to Questing for Glory. Join us on Discord. Join us playing, racing, casually, anything of the sort. I want to thank the Restream team. I want to thank our trackers, PK, the racers, and I just got a little note. We're gonna get ready to go ahead and raid a certain person we blame all. So if you guys want to go ahead and hang around for that, feel free. Raid him. He's a great runner.
In honor of what we just saw, maybe when we get to Invent, throw out a Moon Taunted.
Sounds good to me. So I just want to thank everyone, and I'm gonna go ahead and say good night. So Good night.